This video is going to be on how to fix glazed rotors on a dirt bike. It's kind of hard to tell, but your rotors can get glazed pretty easily, and whenever your rotors get glazed, it becomes very hard to stop. And the way you can tell if your rotors are glazed are by putting your finger on it and rubbing it this way. And if it feels smooth, then your rotors are glazed. Now, if you rub it this way, it should feel bumpy, because the brake pads will wear bumps into it. Another thing to check for is to check to see if there's still some brake pad left. And you can tell there is some brake pad left on these. To do this, you're going to need paint thinner, a drill, couple wire brush attachments, sandpaper, and it needs to be a really rough grit. A fine grit won't work too well. And one of these grinding wheels. These can help. Sometimes you won't need to use those. Here's another grinding wheel. If you want to grind grooves into the brake disc, you can. You do not have to use a drill. You can use a regular wire brush, but a regular wire brush doesn't seem to work as well as a drill. I'm going to be going over the first step in a minute on how to fix a glazed rotor. But before I do that, I'd just like to say that I'm not liable for anything that you do or anything that happens to your bike. Just any actions that you do, I will not be held liable. And with that, I'm going to show you the first step. So the first step is to take the back of the rotor and the sandpaper, put the sandpaper on the back of the rotor, and go this way with it. And then turn the rotor a little bit, and then repeat it. And you want to do that a couple times till you can feel grooves that are pretty deep grooves going that way. And it will take a little while, but it's definitely worth it. It can help your braking power a lot. And you can do this to the front, but I don't really recommend doing it to the front of the rotor at first. That's a later step. So after you've done that and you get rid of all the polish on that part of the rotor, I will show you the next step. The second step is to take your drill with a wire brush. And you want to make sure you have your drill on high and that you're wearing safety glasses. And then take and just sand down the disc like that. And I'm going to have to put the bike on a better stand, because this stand, the bike's moving on it pretty easily. Yeah, it's pretty easy to move on the stand. So I'm going to set it up on a better stand, and then I'm going to continue with the video. So this is before. It's kind of hard to tell with the camera, but if you look, here is before the wire brush, and here is after. And you can't really see it without having a light on it. But the camera doesn't seem to like light. So you can kind of tell this is smooth right here. And then this is sort of a lot rougher. And adds a lot of scratches compared to those. So that helps a lot. You can see all the scratches that it's adding. So once you do this to the whole rotor, you're going to go over it with one of these abrasive pads, and this will clean it up a lot. And I will show that in the, I'll be doing that next. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish doing the wire brushing part to the pad, or to the rotor, then I'll be doing that part. This is after I've gone over it with the wire brush. You can sort of see scratches if you look. Well, you can't really see it on the camera. But the wire brush does add quite a few scratches, which really helps with stopping. And before you, because the last step is to polish it a little bit, but not in this direction. You're going to polish it in this direction with the drill. But if you want to make it a little bit better, you can take and on the front of it, on the front of the rotor, do that to it, because that adds a lot of scratches. Takes a lot longer, but it does help a lot. And it is a very slow process. But once you're done with this, your dirt bike should stop a lot better. And this is not the last step. I still have 2 more steps before you're finished with this. Here is a step that you don't have to do, but it will help. And it's using one of these abrasive cutting wheel type things for the drill. Don't really know what they're called. I think it's like a cutting stone. But this step, you don't really have to do it. It's just sort of optional. And if you don't do it right, this is the step that could really mess up your brake rotor quite a bit. So it's pretty crucial to do it right. And that's basically what you're doing, is cutting. It's kind of hard to see from the camera, but is to cut a line. But here's what the abrasive disc does. I had to pause for a second because of an interruption. But here's what the abrasive disc does. It puts in grooves like that. And whenever I do the abrasive disc, I normally just do every other one. So like, here's a low hole, then here's one that's farther out, and then I'll do this one right here. And that seems to work pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of them. And you don't want to grind into it very much at all. It's just a little, if it can focus there. Maybe if I hold it straighter, but it's hard to see. It's barely deep at all. It's just scratching it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way around, and then I'm going to do the last steps, because there's 2 more steps after this. And this is optional, and I don't recommend doing it if you've never used one of these discs before, because you can cut too deep, and that would not be good. That would ruin your rotor. I decided to, instead of just doing every other hole, to go over the whole thing, just not very much, like just skim over it. And you can skip to the very last step, which is just wiping it down with paint thinner to get any oil from your fingers or from like the sandpaper off. But the step before the last step is to get one of these sort of polishing pads and to go over it in this direction. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute here. So here's what I mean by using this to go over it. I just mean like putting it right here. Oh, let me move it up a little bit so you can see it from the camera. But I mean putting it on the brake rotor and just doing that. And that will actually add more scratches to the edge right there. And it will get rid of some of the deeper ones, but it will make a lot more fine scratches. And that will make the brake it won't grab as much. It'll make it a lot more consistent. So I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way around, and then I'm going to be finished after I wipe it down with paint thinner. Or any other, anything else that you want to use to get rid of the oil. Because the oil from your fingers and the oil from the tools and stuff that you use can really mess up the brakes. So I'm going to show you what it looks like after I'm done with this. And I'm going to show you the last step in a minute here. So here's what it looks like after using the abrasive pad and going over it. It's hard to see it with the camera, but it gives it just a little bit of extra scratches, and that helps. So the very last step is just taking and getting a rag that doesn't have any oil on it, like this rag should do, and taking some paint thinner and just cleaning off the disc, which I'm going to show in a minute. So I have some paint thinner on this rag, and all I'm going to do is take the paint thinner part and put it on the rotor and turn over the tire a couple times, and that will clean any of the oil residue off from your fingers or from the tools, as I've already mentioned a couple times. But that should work pretty well, and that should help your brake, that should really help your brakes if you had a glazed rotor. If you didn't have a glazed rotor, you might not notice much of an improvement, but if you did, you will notice quite a big improvement. And it's kind of hard to see the grooves that were cut without a light, but when you have a light shined on it, you can really see you can really see all the grooves. So that's all for this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe for more videos. And I'm going to be trying to make some more how-to videos for this bike and for many other bikes. I'm also thinking about making some videos of this David Bradley, which I got, and I got a lot of implements for it too. So might be making some videos of these. So comment, like, and subscribe if you want to see more. I can answer any questions that you have about this video in the comments. If you have any questions that didn't understand something, or you need help with something. This will work on a lot of different bikes, such as the CRF 250R, CRF 450R, YZ 250F, YZ 400, I believe. Kawasaki's, a lot of those too. A lot of Suzuki's. Basically universal for bikes with a brake rotor. So that's all for this video, and hope to see you next time, and subscribe for more.